Yeah. That's the next to the last stop. Yeah. Subway, Roosevelt Park. Yeah. It's right in back of that.
I'm Adwa, Panyuwa Yerushalayim, Stand Face Jerusalem. Blessing of the seventh new moon. Barak Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai Asherat Atamanawa Hakadash Bashalawam the water Amen. Blessed are Yahweh, the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the seventh new moon in peace, also the memorial blowing of trumpets. Thank you, so be it. The Alima Asharaya Mechad, Psalms 121. Gabar, read everything. Anye Harayim Ayim Oh Harim Ayen Yabo Azariya Yabo Mayahawe Shai Shai Shemayim Waratiza La Yanathan Lamawat Ragalia Yela Yanawam Shashwamarka Hanay La Yanawam Wala Yeshan Shashwamar Yeshrilib Yahweh Shamaria Yahweh Tazalia Ayo Yed Yim Yed Yawamam Hashamash, La Hakaya, Wayarak, La Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamari, Makam, Rai, Yashama, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashama, Habalakya, Wabaaya, my fair, wa I will Basham, Yahweh, the water, Amen.
Psalm 121. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall never slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore.
Amen.
Amen.
Shemaiah Sharala, hero Israel, Deuteronomy 6:4. Shemaiah Sharala, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad. Shemaiah Sharala, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad. Shemaiah Sharala, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God.
Just say Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Say it in Hebrew. Amen.
Amen.
Hathapalah, Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Matthew 6:9. Abinawe Shabbat Shemayim Kodash Hayye Shamke Yahweh Malakwatke Taba'e Rotazawanke Hayye Aisha Baratze Ke Bashemayim Natamanawe Lachem Yawam Zed Wasalak Nawe Kabawat Nawe Kasalak Nawe Kabawat Yanawe Wala Abiyar Nawe Oh Nasayawan Abo Hawashai Nawe Marai Kaya Laka Hamalakwat Wa Allah Wa Saparat Wa Iwalam Amen.
The Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6:9. After this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Amen. Aisha Ramatazawap, the Ten Commandments. Exodus chapter 23 down to 17. La'ad, Yahayat, Lakad, Alahayim, Akharim, Alapanyat, La'ad, Taishad, Lakad, Kasod, Wala'ad, Taibadam, La'ad, Talakwaka, Shamwad, Yahawad, Alahayaka, Lashawat, Zakar, Ath, Hayawam, Hashabath, Lakodashwat, Kabad, Abiyakab, Wa Amakab, La'at, Taratazak, La'at, Tana'at, La'ab, Taganab, La'ab, Tainab, Shakur, La'ab, Takhamab, Ko, Asherat, Lara'ika, Amen.
Ten Commandments, Exodus 23, 1 to 17. Thou shalt not raise a false report.
No.
22.
22.
20, verse 3 down to 17. Chapter 20, verses 3 down to 17.
17.
Chapter 20, verse 3 down to 17. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall I labor and do all thy work, but the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeshua, be seated. Barakati Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai, Asheranath in the now Parya Gapan Tuwara Aman. La Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai, Af Yashara. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. And Madwa, Panyawa Jerusalem, stay in the face Jerusalem. Barakatha Yahweh, Haggadah, Rakawam, Abiyah, Wanawa'eh, Eliyawan, Malak, Shal, Shemayim, Warataza, Wakod, Dabarim, Kayayam, Wagam, Hamashiach, Mayahawe, Arawanawe, Ahabnawe, Hapalab, Yawa Aitaza, Yahawashai, Zakarnawe, Yahweh, Bartazawan, Ainka, Yashala, Izarnawe, Banai, Wasa, Yashala, Oh, Nanawe, Yam Yan, Aita, Kayawamyam, Makwadam, Babakushai, Shalak, Mike Allah, Watazwadak, Alahayim, La, Maganawa, Rabharnawa, Washima, Elnawa, Bakwa, Shalak, Haroka, Shao, Yahweh, Lanawa, Lalamanawa, Rabiam, Kakamai, Tabawana, what I Shout the barka basham Yehoshai the what them yet why will English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember, Yahweh, favorably your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel, Most High, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us, to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, always and forever, so be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the law. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathan Lanawa, Hatawarat. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us light to see. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathan Lanawa, Awar, Lara Awat. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ram's horn to call the people. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathan Lanawa, Karan, Hayo, La Korab, Ha'aim, Yishabwa. You see that?
Can you turn the air on?
Sure. Someone get the air, Baba Kushan. All right, so Shalom Yasharala. Shalom everybody here in the Philly school. Shalom everybody listening to us on live stream, listening to us on teleconference. Everyone watching us on live stream. Welcome to Yasharala Nas with the Congregation of Israel, where we teach that the so-called Black, Latin, Native Americans are the 12 tribes of Israel, once lost, now found, and that we fall into a lower state politically, economically, even religiously, because we broke the laws of God found in the Bible given to us by Moses. And that we come out of this lower state that we fall into by turning back these commandments we broke by following Jesus Christ as our example, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. And one way we do that is by keeping our holy days, as we are keeping tonight the 7th new moon, which is a halfway point in the Hebrew calendar, where we're in the second half of the Hebrew year. The beginning of the 7th month begins the next 6 months leading up to the new year. And this is a new moon, a 7th new moon, but it's also in scriptures known as the memorial blowing of trumpets. Let's read the record of that in the scriptures. Because we know the scriptures are the main source that we go to show forth the record as far as who we are and what we believe and why. To always be able to go back to this record here to validate that. You just write down the verse in 1 John as a reference to that, which I'll read briefly before we go into the main readings on memorial blowing a trumpet in history. So 1 John chapter 5 and verse 11. I'm making a reference to that verse, which you can write down. You'll have to get it. I'll read it. 1 John chapter 5, verse 11, it reads, "And this is the record that God hath given unto us eternal life, and this life is in his Son." This is the key to everlasting life, right? Which we forsook in the beginning, right, with our ancestors in the garden. Now they come back to through Christ, right? As it tells us in Corinthians, through Adam we all died, but now through Christ we live. So, Leviticus 23. Leviticus chapter 23. Come. Swab job, gentlemen. Keeping your brother, keeping your fellow brother. Leviticus chapter 23. And we're going to read verses 23 to 25. As we already know, as we should know, Leviticus chapter 23 being a key verse in the Bible, in the record, where we see most of the major high holy days illustrated that we keep for memorial year after year. And we see that this memorial blowing of trumpets that we come together tonight for is here as well.
Was that a question? Or you agree?
I'm just making a statement.
Oh, okay.
And that's to why that you brothers are taking notes too, as far as the things that we're reading tonight. We want to make sure always make that a practice, whether we're coming in person, whether we're just listening in, or if we are watching online, that we keep a record. We take notes, right? And we set time aside during the week, half an hour to an hour, preferably each day, to go through your notes and to arrange them, right? You can kind of see the things you read over, and then that can serve as a review as you arrange them. And then it may even spawn other questions, because I know I've had this experience where I'm looking through my notes and I'm like, what the heck did I write down? Why did I write this down? I can't really make sense of it, you know? I was in the class, I guess I might have been listening and probably needed to write maybe some extra details to understand what I was looking at. So it's good, and it makes you a better note taker going forward.
You a better what?
Note taker.
A note taker? And write down what you said?
Right. And then paraphrase it in a way that I can understand when I go over it later.
Right.
So I'm not reading through scriptures and trying to make sense of what we were talking about. Oh, and I mentioned it usually in the beginning. Today is according to the Gregorian calendar. In your notes, you should put the date, obviously. The 8th of September, 2018. According to our calendar, man, it's the 7th new moon, brother. So what was that mean? What would that day be? It's the 7th new moon. Now, according to our calendar, it will be what month and what day?
May 29th.
No, according to our calendar, what would it be? What would be the number month, which I gave already, and what would be the number day? We're in the 7th new moon. It should be easy. It's part of the answers and part of the answers in my question. That's how we know today's date according to the Gregorian calendar. According to the Hebrew calendar, what we say is the what month and the what day.
July 29th.
July. We don't use July in scriptures. I'm saying what we call it.
7th month.
Right? And the what? What number day?
21st day of the month shall ye have any Sabbath, the memorial blowing of the trumpet, the holy convocation.
You're reading the verse. That's good. It's going to explain it. But what's the answer?
It's the 7th month.
Right?
First day.
There you go.
So it would be 7-1.
Pretty much.
Well, you know why I probably at the 29th? Because I don't know the end of the date. That's why that's my fault.
It doesn't matter because we're in the new moon. So we start over anyway. Mm-hmm.
So it is July?
No, it's the 7th month.
Okay, what month would that be?
7th month. It doesn't match up perfectly with the calendar of the world. You understand? Okay. And plus, they're 3 months earlier anyway.
I gotta get Hebrew calendar. Then I'll be a little better.
Just like December is supposed to be the 12th month of the year, right?
Right.
Supposed to be the end of the year, but their end of the year is in dead of winter, as opposed to the beginning of the spring.
So this would be September?
According to the Gregorian calendar, yes.
It was 7 in September.
Right.
October. November. The 10th would be the end of the year.
No, the 12th month. It would be in the spring for us. The new year doesn't come until springtime. March/April, depending.
I gotta get the Hebrew calendar, so I'll be better.
Should be in your inbox.
So it's not in my inbox.
In your email, if you check it.
Yeah, in my inbox.
Well, we could talk later. I can show you all the emails that I sent it to.
All right.
I could help you find it. Because it would have kicked back if it was wrong.
All right.
What's that calendar?
It's the Hebrew calendar.
So before we read, I know we go over this a lot, but it's important for us to understand how to tell time, because this is how we know what to do when it comes to what in the earth. This is going to be where everybody has to learn. So they're looking at us. The other nations going, what's today, according to you guys? And we're sitting scratching our head going, I don't know, September the 21st, we singing some Earth, Wind, and Fire song. They're going to look at us crazy, right? So we have to know this and say, oh, it's the new moon. It's the 7th month. This is what we're supposed to do in the earth for the Most High. We should know this.
I think we're gonna start giving tests, like reading tests. Everybody coming.
That's right.
That way, Malak will take notes and pay attention. Otherwise, he'll be in trouble. Everybody will know what to say. But I think just because we don't have that, everybody just like we say it. We know it, and then we go home. Next class, you ask again, and everybody forget.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start from scratch.
Well, no need. Just start what you. Correct. Just start what you already got, which is like we said it before. Just go through your notes. You'd be surprised how much stuff is there. I know some of you brothers know. when you're going through your notes, you're like, oh man, I just had this question last week, but I already wrote it down. We already went over. Like I said, you have to make a big production out of it. Just whatever time of day is suitable for you, whether it be morning, afternoon, evening, depending on your schedule. Some of us work at night, some of us work during the day, right? Just find that one little time block, a half hour to an hour preferably, where you just go through what you've written down and just try to arrange it. And if you need some, pointers on how to do that, we can talk about it afterwards. Or just reach out to me, one of the other Kahanya. We can give you guys some pointers on best ways to arrange your notes. It's pretty much just by topic. As you go through your notes, it's just going to be like history, things you've written down each time you came. But topic-wise, it's all over because we're talking about different stuff all the time. As you spend a little bit every day going through it, now you can say, okay, here's my High Holy Day notes here. Okay, here's my milk topic section here. And then you can kind of narrow it down. Okay, here's the verses dealing with the color of Christ. Boom, that's a section. Here's the section dealing with we got to keep the law still. Boom, notes on that. Here's a section dealing with nationality, how we tell nationality, right? Seed of the forefather. That way you're actually going through your notes is more productive. It's not just looking through, just a bunch of paper and you're like, okay, what am I doing? Right?
Well, how do we relate this verse here, which is 7th month, first day of the month, to the day being September the 8th?
Because on the calendar, it'll tell you, like you just told me, the calendar, it'll tell you this is the 7th month. See, I don't even know
On
when
which calendar?
the Hebrew calendar, right?
The lunar calendar.
The lunar or the Hebrew, which one?
The Hebrew calendar is based on the moon. So
Okay, so the calendar, see, I didn't know when the end of the day, because the last day I thought it was like 6/29, but it's 7/1, right? Right?
So yeah.
That's why it's 6/29.
Let's look at it again. So you said on the Hebrew calendar and lunar calendar is the same thing?
Pretty much.
Right there.
Yeah, so all these different notes we go into like on a day like this.
On the Hebrew
With the new moon.
lunar calendar, it is the first day of the 7th month.
Yes.
Right.
So that's why a good way to practice to make it easy when we come together for the class or especially for the high holy days. That's why at least I'll try to put it out there so that you're writing it down, and that way you kind of get used to the pattern. Just like writing the date when you're at school as a youngster.
We got a calendar in school we can read off.
Right.
We ain't got no calendar in here.
Yeah, we do.
Where is it?
It's printed out. We got a couple back, and then we also, like I said, I send it out.
And then you ask one, you can't get it.
The first day of the 7th month. How do we relate that?
I don't know about that. I know the printer is not working, but I don't know what your issue is. But we have PD. Like I said, the PDF we send out to everybody because I know I've had folks ask me for it. I send it to them and they can use it. So maybe we need to talk about that afterwards. You being able to get into your email and actually see it. I have it already. I actually have 3, I think, for you now. Yeah, we'll talk about it later to make sure.
All right, relate the first day of the 7th month from the lunar calendar to this calendar that we got today, because it's the 8th day according to this calendar. And it's the 9th month according to
The Gregorian calendar in general is based on the sun, cycles of the sun, as opposed to the phase of the moon. That's the main difference. We did a class on it in a while, but we'll probably go over it again. But we have like a breakdown where we show features of the lunar year versus features of the solar year, as far as how many months, how many days typically are in each month, and how many days are in each year, right? Like one key difference is like with the solar year, you typically have 31 days, say February, and it's 365 days. Whereas the lunar year, you got 354 days, as opposed to 365. And then you got every month is on average 29 and a half days.
29 and a half days.
Mm-hmm. But I did a chart some time ago. I can bring that back up again just so you guys can see it.
That'd be lovely.
Because you'll see references to time frames that go by, like 3.5 years. Let's say 3.5 days. Was it times and dividing a time? 1,260 days. But it's, when you do the division to show it as 3.5 years,
Right.
you break down that time period in the prophecy. It's based on a 354-day year,
Right.
which is a lunar calendar or Hebrew calendar day year, as opposed to 365. That's where your September 8th, September 9th, that's where that comes from.
My birthday is September 20th. That's on white man calendar.
To be technical,
Yeah.
you would look at the lunar calendar of whatever year you were born and see what month and day it was.
That's what we gonna do. My birthday is September 20th.
If you wanted to do that. So Leviticus 23, let's read 23 to 25. And I'll be quiet. If you could read that, Baba Bashar, once everybody has it.
Leviticus 23.
Uh-uh.
All this time?
Make sure you like
It seems like it's a fire that you don't get it, so you can say, nah, every time.
Yeah. So you can get a compliment.
Right, but that, it seems like that's the fire, right?
everybody needs to see that way. No. Not get on his own. Gun.
All right. Leviticus 23, chapter 23 and 25. And it reads, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, and the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpet, and an holy convocation. Verse 25. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right. So it says, speaking to the children of Israel, right? What the Most High told Moses. And in the 7th month, and the first day of the month, you should have a Sabbath, so a rest. So like we have the 7th day of the week, but now this 7th new moon is going to be a rest as well, as is with the other moons. A memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. So sound off with the trumpets and remember the role that trumpets play as we see throughout the history. And it was holy convocation where we come together. Not only that, we know the 7th month of the year, we like to call it the high holy month because we have the most high holy days within the 7th month. We know the Most High has the number 7 come up a lot of times for different things, right? It's not ironic that we would have a lot of features going on in the earth according to the Most High's will during this time. And we start the month off with the 7th new moon, which is this memorial blowing of trumpets. So real quick, I'll throw it out there. Anyone can venture an answer. What are the other high holidays that we find in the month of 7th month? We should know. Say it a little louder so everybody can hear.
Day of Atonement.
Come. Day of Atonement. Any other ones?
Yeah, I know it's right there.
There's another major holy day that comes up in the 7th month. What's that?
Feast of the Tabernacle.
Come. Say it a little louder so everybody can hear.
Feast of the Tabernacle. What verse says this, sir?
Right.
How do they do that?
It's
Okay, I'll tell you.
many verses.
Kind of hears it in a little space of Moses.
So those are the two other key high holidays that you find within the seventh new moon.
See when Malak knows.
Pretty good.
And so with the Zakar, he did something wise, right? And when I asked you the question about the month and the day, you look right in the verse. He saw that what is actually telling you what month and day that we're in and what we're keeping. Sorry, Salakia.
Welcome. If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please wait and you will be joined into the conference. Please announce yourself.
Okay, not sure. Somebody lost I think we might have lost connection. Maybe someone did. But either way, only verse we read besides 1 John 5 and 1 was the Leviticus 23, verses 23 to 25.
Atonement, and then the Feast of the Tabernacle, verse 34b.
Come, so let's get the offering that we did during this time, and then we actually go into a time in history where we kept this high holiday in the history of the scriptures.
Atonement comes first, then the Feast of the Tabernacle. Lord,
I can feel free to if you have questions, just bring them up. Bring them up to here, because other folks may have them too on a teleconference. It's good you guys help each other out. I'm not shining against that, but your question may be good. Let it be known so that all can hear, because they may have it too.
you want to know the second one. I have one over here too. I just told them.
So let's go to Numbers 29. Numbers 29.
29.
We'll read verses 1 to 6.
Numbers 20.
And y'all if you could read that book or shot once everybody has it. So, what question? Verses 1 to 6.
Numbers chapter 29, verse 1. And in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, he shall have an holy convocation. He shall do no servile work, it is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you, and ye shall offer a burnt offering for a sweet savor unto the Lord. 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year without blemish. And their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deal for a bullock, and 2/10 deals for a ram, and 1/10 deal for a lamb, and 1/10 deal for 1 lamb throughout the 7 lamb.
Did you read something twice? I got lost.
And verse 4, and 1/10 deal for 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs. Verse 5, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering to make an atonement for you. Verse 6, beside the burnt offering of the month and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering, and his meat offering, and their drink offerings, according unto their manner for a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord.
Come. So you read these chapters here, Numbers 28, 29, goes into the specific offerings that we did, right, to the Most High through the priests, right? Now we know we're far moved from this, given that we've gone into captivity many times. But now when we had our people together, we knew our tribes, right? We knew which families we came out of. When we knew who the sons of Aaron were, this is something that they would have a responsibility to do. As Israel would keep it, we'll make sure that we offer these things on the altar of burnt offering, right? This will be reinstituted in the kingdom again. Now it's just important for us to read it, understand it, study it, because we know we're going to have the law written in our inward parts. So this is going to be like second nature. We're just going to know this. That begins now as we learn the truth, learn this knowledge of the Most High's commandment. And then for the nations that we rule over that survived the Third World War and the Second Coming, they're going to be using these particular laws too for their own benefit. Otherwise, they're going to face their judgment. Wow.
And also, Carl asked a question earlier. What is the name of the 7th month? Just as in the Gregorian calendar, we have September, we have January, right? And the lunar calendar also. Back then, we also had names attached to those months, besides the number of the month.
Okay.
So for the month of September, for the month of this month, the 7th month,
Right.
there's a name attached to it, and it's in 1 King, the 8th chapter.
We need to go today. Thank you, Prophet.
First King,
Chapter 8. Chapter 8,
Verse 2.
verse 2. Thank you, brother. If we need a laptop right, they can go to the fast anyway.
So can you give us the verse?
Nothing's faster than the Holy Spirit.
I know the name of it.
1 King, the 8th chapter, in the 2nd verse.
Look what this is.
Mark gave it to me.
Gone. So Mark went through
The whole
the
class.
whole class on that.
Yeah. No, he gave it to me.
You want to bring out some more?
Read it, you want to read it?
Right, just what I'm on.
I don't know if you want to bring out some more understanding.
Hey, what question?
I can read it.
It's up to you.
All right, so let me read it. It's 1 King, the 8th chapter, in the 2nd verse. And I'm sure you have all the month names in your, those of you who actually attended that class should have it in your notes, all the month names.
No.
Because somebody did it, you said that, right?
Yeah, well, I got this right here.
It says, let me read it real fast. It says, and all the men of Israel assembled themselves unto King Solomon at the feast in the month Ethanim, which is the 7th month.
For Esther.
Yeah, something else that Samat went over when we went through this before. Some of these names, similar to like the names we have now, they were adopted from the different nations that had ruled over us, because it will be the name that they called the month. Not for all of them. Like I think for like the first month, that's actually a Hebrew name, but then the other names for the months, they were names that they were commonly used at that time. Just like now, we would say September. We know it goes back to the Greco-Roman period, right? As far as like July, August, you know.
Do we have on the Hebrew calendar 12 months?
And sometimes 13.
Sometimes 13, okay. I'm gonna Google that first.
Okay. Just something to be aware of, because you'll see that pattern before, like with certain months, you'll see they'll have names, and then we'll pronounce that same name of the month in Hebrew, but it's something that the Persians may have set up. They called it this. The Babylonians set up, and they called it that. But something that we always did, we numbered the months, and then we had high holy days that we named. That were always at a certain number month and a certain number day. That's something that has never changed.
Right. Just to know that the name is not really important, because depending on where you live, what season you're in, and what captivity you're in, there will be a name attached to it. And like the brother brings out, it's more so about the number, not so the name of the month. But if you need to find out at a particular time what name, that's where you're in the scriptures. It's documented where you can see, okay, that name was associated with this month or that month.
Right.
If you guys have like an app or certain websites, you can search it, like King James. I think it's kingjamesonline.com, right? Just go in the Google window and put KJV online, something like that, and then put in like the 6th month, 7th month. You'll see different verses that have the word 7th month in it, and in one of those you'll see the one he just quoted in 1 Kings 8, where you say you put in 8th month, put it in quotes, so you search for the phrase 8th month. You'll see everywhere where 8th month comes up, and in one of those verses you'll find, oh, okay, in this verse it actually mentions what it was called there. You wanted to, find them on your own. That's what we did. So, wash, rinse, repeat, right? So, let's go to a time we were keeping this, when we were going back to the land to reestablish ourselves, as we had been removed because of captivity. Every time that happens, things get more and more convoluted, more confused, right? But the Most High always leads that way back, to come back to Him, right, through His mercy. He doesn't just have us out there under the different nations as just vassals unto them or slaves unto them, speaking their language, right? Calling ourselves at the names they gave us. In every captivity, we've seen that's what happens, right? We were taken over by the Egyptians. They were rule over us. They will give us their name to show that power over us, right? Even our great forefather Joseph, right? When we were just a family before we became an actual nation, he had an Egyptian name, right? Even though we know his given name from his family was Joseph or Yahweh. He was given another name by Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. It's good for us to always to be cognizant of that, to where we see things that happen now, we can make that connection and go, oh, we went through this before for the same reason. Because we were in captivity then, just like we're in captivity now.
What was his name?
Okay. That verse where it's at?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's in 40 something. I want to say 43. The thing is, the name he was given, the Egyptian name went like a revealer of secrets, something like that. Oh wow! I flipped right to it. All praises. Genesis 41 and 45.
41.
Verse 49.
45. So yeah, we'll see, just like during the time of Christ, during the time of the apostles, many brothers and sisters had Greek names, right? Or Latin names, because they're the ones that had the authority, right? They had the strongest influence in the earth at that time, right? He had brothers, was it Aristarchus and Aristobulus, right? Names like that. But they still believed in the truth. Just like now, we got English names, right? French names, Spanish names, Portuguese names, Dutch names, right? All different names of Esau, different branches of Esau that conquered us, right? That took us captive. Yes, and just on this concept, before we read on in Nehemiah, because that's the next place I want to go. And so we're talking about it. You can tack on with Genesis 41, the book of Daniel.
Book of Daniel.
Daniel chapter 1, and I'll give you the verse.
Daniel chapter 1.
Daniel chapter 1 and verses 6 and 7. Where it tells you what their Hebrew names were, Daniel and his 3 friends. But then it goes into the Babylonian names they were given by the prince of the eunuchs when they took them captive.
Captivity.
Right. You'll see that on a spiritual level and even on the physical level, that naming something has it denotes power or authority over that object or entity. Right? You see, even going back with Adam, Most High gave Adam the responsibility to name the beasts, right? The flying thing, the cattle, the creeping thing, and the things in the water. And you'll see also that he gave Adam dominion over those things.
Getting control.
Mm-hmm. So you'll see that with the Most High, how he's named every nation. Every nation had a Hebrew name first, right? Regardless what language they have now. And in time, he'll even give us a second name, or different nations a second name, because that's even denoting the power the Most High has over the nations.
I have a question. In this part of this conversation we have now, since you brought up Adam, I had to wait until I left, as I finished with the lawyer yesterday, I had to wait at 15 chestnut, and I got a Muslim friend, me and him talked real good. He said, could you answer this question? I said, hey, how you doing? He said, what was Adam's religion?
The law, tree of life.
Hey, y'all just said, oh, man, no, he didn't have it. Hey, what you say?
He followed the laws, statutes, and commandments. So it's not so much religion, because that's something that's of man, that man made up. But originally he dealt with.
Made up so they made up the 12 tribes of Israel. You heard what you just said?
I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
What was Adam's religion? Like we with the 12 tribes of Israel.
I'm answering because I get what he's coming from. He's probably thinking, oh, okay, was he?
He didn't know. He wanted to know.
Right, but no.
I see now.
Let me explain what I mean. So when you hear that question, usually the person that they're thinking is they're trying to categorize to something we have now, right? Like we might, okay, am I Shinto? Am I Buddhist? Am I Islam? Right? Some kind of world religion. He was before these world religions. You understand?
Okay.
You go back far enough. Like I said, we were dealing with the commandments of God.
The 10th commandment wasn't written.
You have more than that. But the knowledge of the commandments was there going back to the beginning. That was the breath of life that he breathed into Adam.
Okay, but what was it?
It was inside.
Same commandments.
It was inside of the Ten Commandments was inside of Adam. He knew what not to do.
That sounds good coming out of you. But what was the command? The Tenth Commandment wasn't written yet.
It wasn't
God
written
made
on
Moses.
paper, but it was in Adam's heart. He knew, just like when Cain killed Abel. Remember when Cain killed Abel?
He knew, he was back about
He
it.
knew he was wrong. And that's why.
Gabon.
I ain't gonna listen. Go back to your place.
You're running well. Let me answer. I'm not saying you're wrong. Let me just
You
answer.
ain't gonna answer either.
But what he's saying,
Tell me
that what he just said is correct. That the Most
why
High,
why is it correct?
You gotta listen to him.
because he breathed the breath of life into him, and that's how Adam became a living soul when you read it. And the
Okay,
breath of
that's
life
true about
represents
breathing life into him.
represents
Did he have
the
did he have a religion?
represents the law, the statutes. Gabar,
Okay.
Gabar, one at a time. One at a time.
I understand what he's saying, so
yeah.
somebody came up with it.
No, it came from the Most High. I see your hand. Hold on
Now,
one
I just
second.
want to say one more thing.
It's getting confusing.
This is a very important question,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody can get confused. You just gotta let brother say what he gotta say, and don't interject, and then see if you have more question after that.
Okay, I'm with you. Go ahead, interject.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure I'm hearing your full question, because
This was a question asked me yesterday. That's all.
okay. So the breath of life was breathed into him. It represents
Okay.
the commandments.
Alive.
Just like the valley of dry bones. Oh, Gabar. Relax. So, like the valley of dry bones, you remember that vision that Ezekiel had? It says, breathe upon these slain that they may live. Right? That wind, that was symbolic. Same way you saw the Most High breathe the breath of life into Adam. It represents us keeping the commandments, because man shall live by bread alone, right? But by every word that comes from the mouth of God. So the Most High will oftentimes use physical things to show us what it means to live spiritually, which comes to righteousness. Just like physically you need to eat, otherwise you'll die. Spiritually you need to eat. You have to eat the Most High's commandment. Physically, if you stop breathing, you die, right? Spiritually you need to breathe, which is breathe in the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. And there's verses we can go into, but we can do that probably in a class. Yeah, sure. But that's the answer. But there's other verses we can go to explain that. So every world religion, right? That's not the truth. It takes bits and pieces of the truth and mixes it with other stuff. So over time, that's how we got all the world religions that we have today. That's what most people are going on for when they say, what was so-and-so's religion? Talking about somebody that predated religions that we had now. So every world religion you see out there, you'll see they might have something like love thy neighbor as thyself, but then the way they do it is according to a totally different set of standards. Even though we know our law says to do that, but it's very specific. When you love your neighbor as yourself, you're supposed to do it according to these other laws that are in place. You'll see that, with the Hamites, you'll see with the Elamites, as far as do unto others, the golden rule. You'll see that in many world religions. That means different stuff to different people because they have a different set of principles they deal with.
True.
So when you check out those world religions and their key principles, certain things will be a part of the law, or the tree of life, right, that Adam was dealing with. Other things come from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is the truth of God mixed with other stuff. That's what every world religion is not the truth, the scriptures, as it's written. That's what they fall into those categories. So that's Islam, that's Buddha, that's Christianity, Shinto. They're all the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Whereas the truth, that's the tree of life, straight no chaser, everything purely coming from the Most High and the Most High's will. So that's what I would tell. That's what I would tell that brother.
All right, thank you.
If he could receive it, awesome. And that would be to the Most High if he could receive that or not. So, but we could definitely talk more about it. But just make sure you have for what we're talking about now, Daniel chapter 1 verses 6 and 7, Genesis 41:45. As far as when we went into captivity, the Most High would have whatever nation that was in charge rename us, and it'd be according to whatever their language is, because for a time the Most High gave them power over us as a punishment because we were rebellious. Let's go to Nehemiah now. Nehemiah chapter 8. Nehemiah chapter 8, we'll start from verse 1.
Oh, that's fine.
Come.
No.
And that's part of love your neighbors yourself too, right? Because we may not all be getting the scriptures at the same speed. You didn't if you didn't find a verse, you don't want someone to rush ahead of you and start reading, right? One speed, right? You want someone to help you along. Sorry, I'm just making that point.
Daniel 1.
Verses 6 and 7.
Nehemiah.
Now we're going to Nehemiah.
Yeah. You can put Daniel 1, 6 and 7, Genesis 41 and 45 together. They're kind of their own scriptures. Not really so much talking about the trumpets, but just in general.
41, 45.
Nehemiah.
Genesis 41, 45.
Link up with Daniel and John. We're talking about the same thing. Changing the names.
Wait, Nehemiah what?
Chapter 8, we're going to read from 1 down to 12. And the bar, if you could read that, Bubba Kushai, once everyone has it.
Wow. All right, Nehemiah chapter. First, everybody say, "Come." They got it.
Here you go.
You ready?
One speed.
I didn't hear everybody. You got it?
Yeah, you do. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, Nehemiah chapter 8, verses 1 to 12. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the 7th month. They read therein before the street that was before the water gate from the morning until midday, before the men and the women, and those that could understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law.
Right. So real quick, I just want to put this out here. We just don't know. This is a time when many of us are coming back to Israel after being in captivity under the Babylonians. Now transitioned over to the Persians. Yeah, waves of us, or they call us exiles, coming out of that land of captivity, going back to Israel to set things back up in righteousness. So they were keeping this day during this time too. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You can read on.
Verse 4. And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose. And beside him stood Mattathiah, and Shema, and Ananiah, and Urijah, and Hilkiah, and Maaseiah on his right hand, and on his left hand, Pedaiah, and Mishael, and Malchiah, and Hashum, and Ashba'anah, Zechariah, and Meshulam. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God, and all the people answered, Amen, Amen, with lifting up their hands, and they bowed their heads and worshiped the Lord with their faces to the ground. Also, Joshua and Bani and Sherebiah, Jamin, Akub, Shabbathiah, Hodijah, Manasseh, Pelatiah, Azariah, Josabab, Hanan, Kolaniah, and the Levites caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. So they read in the book and the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading.
Right. So I'll just put this in here too. So what you can see here is like what we see what brothers do now, where we'll set up the camp, right? Sometimes we actually have a rug. We don't bring it out as much. We have like a rug we may lay out, or if you got, you know, a number of men that can go out to set up like a small stand where it elevates you above the people, right? You can kind of look up to where you're teaching it, like a small stage, like a platform. So that's what they did here. And as we were coming out of the exile, some of us knew the law, some of us didn't, because we were living somewhere else where they didn't keep those things. You know, you tend to forget. If you forget, if you have kids while in captivity, you don't teach them. So this was like a refresher course. That's what it's going into, and it says, they read in the book of the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. Right? So they were going through it and then breaking it down and saying, okay, now do we understand? Right? People said yes or no, and they went into other breakdowns, right? Because we had to learn what we had forgotten. Read on in 9.
9. And Nehemiah, which is the Tershatha, and Ezra, the priest, the scribe, and the Levites, that taught the people, said unto all the people, this day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.
Right, so giving them cheer, because why do you think they might have been sad during this time? Why would we think the people were weeping? Anybody?
Because they wasn't following the law.
Okay,
They were glad to hear it.
okay. I can see both of those. Why?
You look at the Bible, it's it outlines our responsibility and duties as a nation. And by going through it, we see that we haven't been doing that. And if it wasn't for the Most High Christians, we should have been just wiped out. Right. Because we weren't holding our part of the bargain to do our responsibility. After hearing that, we cry and seeing that we're not holding our responsibilities as a nation. We haven't been doing what we're supposed to as a nation, as a whole. You might have had some brothers, some sisters, some family doing their best to do right, but as a nation, we ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, but both the brothers said are correct. And so you can read on 11 and 12, and then we'll finish that up.
All right, verse 11. So the Levites still all the people, saying, hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be ye grieved. And all the people went their way to eat and to drink and to send portions and to make great mirth, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them.
Come. So now it says they all went to eat and to drink and to send portions as was instructed. See, when it says in verse 10, eat the fat, drink the sweet. Now, those of us that may be studious in the law, we know in the law we're not supposed to eat the fat, right? Or drink the blood. But now this isn't saying literally eat the fat. It just means to what? Partake in that blessing that comes from the Most High. Like back in I think in Deuteronomy, it says Jacob waxed fat. He's fat. He's waxing with fatness.
He was rich.
Right. So he's comparing to a healthy beast, a burden. But it's like a metaphor, right? As far as Most High blessing the work of our hands. And then for any excess you have, give to those that are without, right? Like it tells you in the law, the poor you should never fail to have poor in the land. So that those that do have, they should deal accordingly with what they have in their excess. so that they provide for their brother and sister who's maybe not as fortunate. Right. So this is a nice refreshing here that we're doing, and the Most High is giving us opportunity to do. Because had it not been for the Most High's mercy, as your brothers touched on, we still be out there calling ourselves whatever the oppressor calls.
Let me read this right here. Let's see if we got something to do with this verse. In Psalm 78, verse 39, for he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passed away and come not again. How often did they provoke him in the wilderness, and he grieved him in the desert? So God like forgave them when they was like acting up, because he could have got rid of us then. This is Psalm 78, God read it like often. And he could have got rid of us lots of times.
Right. We give grace and mercy.
Yeah, that's what he gave us.
Come on, what was that verse again, brother?
Huh?
What was that verse again?
Psalm 78, verse 39.
Psalm 78.
Verse 39 and 40. And 41. And 41 say, yea, they turn back and tempt God and limit the Holy One of Israel. And as you go down, if you read it by yourself, all the way out to verse 72, they was acting up out there in the desert with God, and he forgave them. But in verse 52, but he made his own people go forth like sheep, and guided them into the wilderness like flocks. And he led them on safety so that they feared not, but to see overwhelmed their enemies. That's when they coming from Pharaoh's house.
So you're just pulling this to show the Most High's mercy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could have been got us a long time ago.
Excellent example. You can connect that with what we read in Nehemiah.
That was a prime example.
Thank you.
As the Most High mercy during the time of Nehemiah. And even connect this to now, because even though we don't have books that are writing now, we know books are being written. I always say we're Acts 29, we're Acts 30, we're Acts 31. We're the continuation of the book of Acts ever since we started waking up just a couple decades ago. So our story is being told now for all of the remnant that's waking up in these times. And the Most High's mercy is on us now just like it was then.
On your free time, y'all can write down Psalm 72 and Psalm 78. You can read that by yourself. When you be reading over your notes.
Psalm 72.
And Psalm 78, the whole, two chapters, but they good. You could have been got us.
Psalm 72 and 78.
Two different chapters, 72 and chapter 78.
Oh, I got you told, verse. Okay,
Psalm 72.
Psalm 78.
Yeah, two different chapters.
Okay.
So the main reason I wanted to recap this in Nehemiah 8 is just showing a great thing that the Most High allowed for us to do in his mercy.
Right.
In that we did it during the same time of the year, during the seventh month and the first day. Right. It's taking place around the same time of year. As you read on in this chapter, as we're going to read it next couple of weeks, you'll read about us keeping the other high holy days that fall in this month, along with other high holy days throughout the year, as we begin to reestablish ourselves back in the land.
Okay.
But now the emphasis is on us building up the nation, right? Warning the nation of that truth, and then building ourselves up. Those of us that can hear this truth, see it, understand it, and be converted.
And also another note on Nehemiah. Even today, if we were to read the book and the people would give ear to listen to it, I'm sure a lot of our people would cry. Why? Because our history has been given to us by other people who've written about us, who know nothing about us, or get part of the story about us, but they don't know the whole story.
Okay.
But the Bible, when you read it, it gives us our entire story of us, right? So our history has been written by people, by so-called white men in other nations, oppressors, right? And put stuff about us, and they don't even know about us. But when you read the Bible, it gives you everything about you, right? So that's why we got to read out of the Bible.
True.
Right?
What he brought out, just write down Micah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2.
Micah
chapter 2, verses 1 and 2.
Micah chapter 2, 1 and 2. Also, you can go for Isaiah chapter 34 and 16. Like that.
Isaiah 34 and 16.
Right.
So, are we bringing up verses, chapters, or when God could have like wiped us off the map?
The reason why I quoted Micah was because it tells you there that our oppressors, sadly, we were doing it to each other initially, but then the nations would do it to us on hardcore. It goes into oppressing a man in his house, even a man in his heritage, right? So your heritage is everything that relates to who you are, your family line, right? And what belongs to you. They took that over.
Even the condition that we in today is directly linked to what Columbus did when he came and found natives, our people here.
We talk about that.
And everything that we do now predicated on what we learned from them.
Right.
Because they changed everything that we know and changed our history. And when he decided to come here to do his voyage here, he had an agenda already.
What you gonna do?
His agenda was to be, as a matter of fact, he would contract with the Queen Isabella
Right.
and King Ferdinand, right, of Spain. So he wrote a contract with them, right, before he worked a deal on this new voyage that he's gonna do. He's gonna discover new land, and on this new land, here's what he wants when he discovers those new land.
Makes sense, right?
Before I knew it all.
Right, I mean, there's part of the bargain, right, what he was gonna get. So he came here with an agenda, right, and they were gonna make him vice king of all the land that they discovered. So if you come to a land and you see people in it, right, what are you gonna do? You're gonna work whatever you gotta work to take over by any means necessary.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened.
That's what he did.
Yes.
Right.
Either wipe them out or use them, because if they were already here, right, and they know the land, you use those who want to abide by what you want to do, and you kill those who rebel against what you want to do. Because to bring human resources, it takes time to bring them from one ship all the way across. But if you find them here, just do your agenda. Either take them over, do whatever you got to do, and those who don't want to abide by what you want to do by your program, kill them up. Kill them up.
You are ones that did help you.
Right.
You achieve what they
You do what you want, show them to us.
While we writing down verses, we'll be studying now, Psalm 34 and Psalm 35 and 37 of God. So what we talking about right now. So we should have been gone from out here. All in Psalm, you talk about that, but when you get further to the end, you start changing of how he was with us. And when you get to Psalm 83, he changed his whole atmosphere and let Moab and all of them know that we are his people, they're the enemies. Like Psalm 50, that's when he's coming back to change the whole thing. So Psalm 34, Psalm 35, and Psalm 37.
Come.
Write it down, you do. No, that's on you.
I think y'all can probably speak on that. 'Cause I know he likes different psalms, right? You see, you read certain psalms on certain days. They do it in the Hebrew, but they don't even like read it. It's kind of like a motivational, right?
I read every day.
Hey, he don't share with us. Hebrew. Yeah, I share mine with you. Psalm 34, Psalm 35, and 37.
Okay.
He keeps his for himself. That's being selfish anyway.
But no one's keeping you from reading your psalms.
No, because I tell you, man, he keep his home with him this morning.
But they're all here though.
He should tell us what it is. Like I just told you, man. He should share that with his fellows.
Okay. I'll leave that to you brothers to discuss. So yeah, Micah chapter 2, 1 and 2, Isaiah 34, 16. And also Psalms 34, 35, and 37 are recommended Psalms to read.
You don't forget Psalm 78, Psalm 72. Those are hard and heavy.
Yes, before,
I
right?
found out that Psalm 51 is a heavy sinful prayer. I got a book to tell you what the prayers are. Psalm 1 to Psalm 150. My mom gave it to me. I was like, whoa, read that. On Psalm 1 to 7, it's from 1 to 8. Psalm 13, 40, 23, 44.
All the songs.
So you read the whole song.
The whole song will really got something.
Proverbs 2.
What you want to hear.
Right.
And Proverbs 2.
Yeah.
I read.
All right, so let's read this. Let's read this verse here.
Where you at, sir?
I'm going to go to 1 Thessalonians.
First Thessalonians.
This is the one verse of many, but a key verse I like, where we can look forward to those trumpets sounding off in that day when Christ makes a second coming. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. And I think, Kahan, you were going into this in your class, Bapad, about, I think you were teaching a class last week about sleep, when it says you go to sleep and you die in righteousness. So, you know, physically you die, spiritually, when you die in righteousness, you'll see the wording sleepeth. They went to sleep. Like the girl that was sick in the Gospels, he said, she's not dead, but sleepeth. She knew her soul was a believing soul.
Yeah.
Or like when they stoned Stephen, right? For rebuking the Pharisees, it says that he saw the Most High and Christ on his right hand, right as they were stoning him, and it says that they stoned him to death, and it says he went to sleep. He died in righteousness. But you're going to see that wording here in read 1 Thessalonians 4. 15.
Okay, that's it.
And then we're going to read down to 17.
Who's going to read that?
I'm going to read this one.
Okay.
So 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 15, just say come once you have it. So this is a memorial to come, because we know when it comes to the day of the Lord, that's going to be a day that outshine all of our high holy days. We'll still keep the high holy days. We'll still keep Passover. We'll still keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of Memorial Blowing the Trumpets. We'll still keep that. Every day that day of the Lord comes on, that's going to be quite a day. We'll remember that day going forward in the kingdom.
Right.
You know, the brothers and sisters that know this truth look forward to that day. You want to bring it out now after I read this or before?
Right.
Okay. So 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 15, here it comes. No lies. Everyone got it? Okay. So it reads, "For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep." Right? So Paul's writing here in his wisdom that what? Those that are asleep, meaning those that died in righteousness, died believing, right? That in the spirit world at that point, when he was writing this, they're not going to prevent those that are in the earth doing the work, right? Walking that straight and narrow path, trying to win Christ. It's not like, oh, we're here and, you know, we're going to get the reward and you guys aren't. No. Their life is going to be remembered. Their soul is going to be accounted for too. So he's making sure there's no confusion there when it comes to that. That's why it says in verse 16, this is the day we look forward to. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven, referring to Christ, shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. See that? So you already know, if you guys are in a band or in an orchestra or just listen to one, you know that brass section, they always outshine the rest, right? You got the flutes trying to be heard, you got the clarinets trying to be heard, you know. It tends to be a duel between the brass typically and like the percussion. Usually that brass section, when you hear them, it's just like, you can't miss those trumpets, right? So they got the trumpets up there. We got that from them. So imagine that, the trump of God, hearing that trumpet sound. And the way that it'll sound, just imagine hearing that, and it's like, it's not something that you're gonna miss. You know, like, oh, yeah, such and such going on tonight. I had no idea, I missed it. You know, I didn't get the update on my phone, right? Or it wasn't in my DVR, you know, to record that show that came on. It's like, you're not gonna miss this. Wherever you're at in the earth, you're gonna know when that trump sounded. And then it says, reading on, the dead in Christ shall rise first, right? So meaning those that are in the spirit world, they're gonna rise, right? Those that are asleep, meaning they died in righteousness. It says they shall rise first. Then it says in verse 17, then we which are alive and remain, meaning those that are in the earth when Christ actually does come back, which could be, you know, some of us in here right now, we don't know. We know we're pretty close. You know, we look back on Egypt, we were there for 430 years. If we go that long here, the year 2050 will mark 430 years.
What year?
2050.
What's the year in there?
So we'll have to see, you know. But in the year 2020, when 2020 comes, that'll mark 400 years since the bulk of slaves were brought to North America. And in 2050 will mark, like I said, 430 years, that was around the time we were delivered out of Egypt. It's not to say that that's going to happen now. It could be before then. It could be after then. Right? We don't know for a reason. It's because of our faith, right? We're being proved. It's the Most High's will. But we know we're in that time. And, you know, it's especially important for us to make sure we get it right and bring as many Israel on board as we can. Right? So when Christ comes, we're ready. So it says, the dead in Christ shall rise first, 17. But we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. So same as Christ went up into the cloud after talking to the disciples, remember at the end of the gospel?
Right.
He's going to come back in those same clouds. He's going to come back with the host.
Psalm 50.
What does it say? The chariots of God are thousands, thousands of thousands. Is it the version?
My mind will be down with this. When he come back, Psalm 50 is one of them, but it's all in the other Bible, part of the Bible.
Definitely keep this this pattern. This, I like this. People call you the psalmist.
Okay.
I got a link for you in Psalms.
And also, just to show another scripture, link up with what the brother's saying, but some of us will not. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's Matthew 16:28.
Okay, 16:28. Should we go there? What kind of that, man?
And keep in mind, Yahushua was speaking to the people standing in front of them, right? He checked us out, the way he spoke to them. And you tell me what you see there, right? If it's lining up with what we're talking about. It says, verily I say, got it?
I think who's still getting it.
Got it? Got it? No lie this time?
Come on now.
All right, guys.
One speed.
Matthew 16:28 reads, verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Who was he talking at that time?
Talking to 12 tribes of Israel.
Right? But he said, there's some of you right now that I'm talking to standing here.
What's that third or fourth generation?
All right. Because some of us who were back then, that when Yahushua was speaking, we were right there listening to what Yahushua was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, we were there, but we have no remembrance of former things, of things that are speaking.
Who was there, who was not? Right?
Yes. That's what Malak gave me. Samak gave me a question.
Because who was there, who was not? We have no knowledge of that.
We have no knowledge of that. But when Yahushua was speaking, you know who he was speaking to? He was speaking to the spirit of that man or those men that were standing there. Because we know the spirit always go back to the Most High,
Right,
right? The spirit never dies.
right. Spirit lives on, you know?
We lived on in the spirit world, and when the time's for you to come back again in regeneration, that spirit come back in you again. That's why when he spoke, he was speaking to the spirit of those men, knowing that those men would be here in the time. So it's regeneration.
Right.
You can live forever. Until God comes back with judgment day.
So you guys catch it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got it.
We can.
So Yahushua was speaking to us back then.
Right.
That's what you say.
That's what we're speaking, but we have no knowledge of knowing
Back then.
about that.
Back then. Right.
You're on the time now.
Right.
I want to just give props to Zakar because he's doing an excellent job of actually raising his hand. Let's try to get in the habit of taking turns, so we're not kind of talking all at once,
Raise your hand.
and then we just go through it that way so everybody
You
can
remember
hear.
that back in the day?
Because when we do that, we cause confusion. And the Most High said in Ecclesiasticus not to do that.
In class Tuesday night, Shamak brought that up what he just said. And he had gave me the verses. He said, because you all like you just said, you've already been here and your spirit go up there. And when you come back, I asked him, I thought God was going to come. He said he is, but not at that time. God will come back. But when he do, he gave me like 6, 8 verses that's in the Bible, how it's going to happen. And you just said 3/4 over the writing. When God come back, and calls up with verse 28, he's talking to the 12 tribes of Israel, the ones who's on earth right now. I'm like, oh, so we can pass away like Malak just said, already been here. Yeah, we all already been here again. God, well, Jesus just didn't come back yet. So I asked him, was God come back? He said, no,
I was shocked.
Jesus gonna come back.
That was my next question, but you just explained it.
Yeah, Malak, Shamak was in here.
You said God, I was going to ask, oh, which God you
So
talking
Jesus gonna come back.
I was shocked. He was shocked.
Because in scriptures, he's called God too in certain contexts.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just saying.
But they both coming back.
Well, most
No,
side didn't really go
God
anywhere.
coming back, Jesus coming back.
I was shocked.
What's that?
Most side didn't have to go anywhere. He's everywhere anyway.
Right.
He was already here.
See, that's a good statement Rodney made. I asked him, ain't God coming back? He said, no, Jesus coming back. But in Psalm 50, he gonna call his people.
I was shocked come back. It was all the people that is righteousness up there and then everybody.
And this verse right here, we just read it.
Then you were living righteousness. That's
Yeah. So do right, y'all.
You're right.
There you go. Do the right thing.
Done. So let's close this out. Get this one more verse, and then
Good time, baby.
do the closing prayer. You had your hand up? I'm sorry.
Playing with the locks.
He was gonna say something. Good. Right, you say that again? The spirit always alive.
Right. And you see shall not taste death. Just always remember, and that's where the context comes in. There's always 2 deaths. I know the con went into this a couple classes ago too.
Yeah.
As far as I forget who asked it, but I think I remember it was you guys were talking about it. The physical death that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Physical death versus the spiritual death.
Could you give us those 2 verses?
You had to ask him. I'm not sure.
So before I get
The way he, because he kind of brought it out with certain verses, so
Mhm.
I'll let him tell you. But just understand that concept of a physical death versus a spiritual death. That's so and so didn't die, but sleeping. They physically died, but spiritually they live righteously. So that means when they come back, they're gonna come back righteous, or if they don't come back before Christ comes back, they'll be part of what we read here in Thessalonians. They're gonna, be brought with Christ, along with those of us that are gonna be raised up in the earth that are found worthy as well. So let's close out with this, signifying the role of the trumpet once again. 1 Corinthians 14 and 8. 1 Corinthians 14 and 8.
Done.
And Malak, you can read that. 1 Corinthians 14:8. You could also read verse 9 too. It should also echo what your brothers also went into recently with the going on the numbers, right? As far as everybody being arranged.
That was early. We did that with the choir.
And using the trumpets to sound off. You're going to see that in numbers as we read through the first couple chapters. Organize the tribes. When they hear a certain sound, they know, oh, okay, this is Judah in the east, or Reuben in the south, or whatever position they were in. So that's what this verse he's about to read is referring to, or using. You could say it's kind of like a metaphor. You can read that once everybody has it. Con. No la'as. All right.
Where the trumpet gives.
Call and read it.
All the verse.
Yeah, call the chapter and verse and then read it.
1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 8.
You better talk loud. Stand up.
1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 8.
There we go.
For if the trumpet give in a certain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle?
Right. So you're still going to read 9. Let me just say this. So it says, if a trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? So that's something that's supposed to be coordinated beforehand, right? You hear a certain melody, you know, okay, it means retreat. You hear a certain melody, you know, oh, it means regroup, or battle formations, or defensive posture.
When the war came, like a horn.
Right. And we read in Numbers, you want to see that they were using their horns back then, the trumpets, to move the masses of people. Because it was thousands of us. And you had to talk to them. You couldn't just be one person yelling on top of a rock. Right? Use the trumpet so that the sound could go out. So everybody could hear it. So now look how that's parallel to the word itself being spoken, and making sure that when you speak the truth, that you do it in a way where people can understand it. Read on in verse 9.
So likewise, yea, except yea uttered by the tongue words easy to be understood. How shall it be known? What is spoken, for ye shall speak to the air.
Right. So likewise, ye except ye utter by a tongue words easy to be understood, how shall be understood? Rather, how shall be known what is spoken? So you're just talking in the air. You're just talking to yourself, right? You might have a crowd, but if what you're saying isn't understood, they got a block on you. They got a block on them. What profit is there in that? That's what we deal with a lot, because we know we're commissioned to put that warning out there to our people and the heathen, that they got to hear it too, but especially to our people. Right? We put the warning out to them, but we know the Most High gave us the heads up saying, look, some of them are going to be blind. They're not going to be able to see it or hear what you're saying, but still warn them. And then those that do hear, deal with them as far as their rebelliousness and try to, win them over for Christ. Like, giving them strong reasons as far as why they should serve the Most High. And they got nothing really better to do but that.
They got to be all the way up.
What's that?
Yeah, the trumpet's gonna make a certain sound to let you know what kind of sound and what it means for the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's too many of the people, so they have to have a certain sound for the people to understand.
Right. And that's just looking at the trumpet, how we use it on a physical level when it came to moving the different people back and forth in Israel. Or back when we were, you hear me for that? Back when we were in the wilderness, that's how we move people back and forth on a physical level. So he's using that when it comes to spiritually when we speak this truth.
Okay.
Make sure what you're saying is familiar, something they can understand.
Right.
Make it simple, make it plain.
I of like when you learn that, when you reading the word, you gotta find the words that you don't understand, you find out what it is so you can get the whole meaning of the verse.
Yeah, that'd be.
Friday class, right?
Yeah.
No, but that's good because it shows you was paying attention Friday.
Yeah, right.
You're always here going through it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Like when we was in recess in school, and it was time to go back for recess, no alarm go off, and the teacher stayed on there, get in line, for real.
Yeah.
Y'all went to school then, yo.
Right.
And the bell ring, let me get in line.
You don't need to get in line.
The kids today.
Come.
Did not,
The kids today.
man, get out of here.
They listen to the bell that was still running around.
Right.
It would be about 10 of them every recess. And we'd be in line, and they had a big paddle.
Yeah.
They go over there and bend over.
Yeah.
Oh, boy,
Yes, the good old days.
that was terrible.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in starting kindergarten, and you have recess, right? And you go play soccer in your recess time. When they ring the bell, even if the ball is running, everybody gotta stop. They stop. Let everybody stop. And then
Let the ball run.
everybody just stop, freeze.
Right.
And then they ring it again with another sound, then now it's time to start walking the track.
Right.
We should line up.
If you shoot the ball, that's it, man. You're gonna get a beating.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna call your parents, or
You won't be in trouble, put it that way.
It'd be like 10 kids that
Right.
just didn't listen.
I took the ball to
Every day after that bell rang, they just go running. They'd be right at the principal's desk. And he have a big old paddle.
A whole
Everybody
fish.
step up. Okay, you suck your butt up. Bend over. Whoa! Point the flag.
Yeah, they're trying to make that fourth quarter buzzer shot.
It's conditioning. Conditioning.
So they just want to that was condition. Yeah, that was condition.
Come.
Very good then.
So let's definitely enjoy this new moon in righteousness. Let's enjoy this memorial blowing of trumpets.
Right.
Remember the trumpets, the role that they serve. Let's continue to sound off year after year, as we know we're halfway through this year, that we may either enjoy this time in Christ, die in Christ, or we may see Christ when he comes back.
Right.
Let's keep the momentum going. Also remember two weeks from now, well actually before then, not next Monday, but the following Monday, sundown, Day of Atonement, very important, which means that Tuesday, which is the 18th, make sure if you can, take off that day if you haven't already, right? So that you can be dealing with the Most High and not be dealing with any distractions. Because that day you want to keep it as spiritual as possible, reach out to brothers and sisters, right? Encourage them and vice versa during that important day of the fast, because we get that clean slate from the Lord. So any grimy things that you were doing or thinking about, they get that clean slate, not next Monday, the Monday after sundown. It's Tuesday sundown.
On the Day of Atonement.
What day did that be? The 7th?
17th to the 18th.
17th to the 18th. Fast.
I'll show you in your email.
Okay, good.
So then, from this day, just count 2 Sabbaths, sundown, is going to be the opening and the closing of Feast of Tabernacles, which 2 Sabbaths from now, sundown, I think will be the 22nd of September, and then the 28th. We're going to have the opening and closing Saturday night. So we've been having a lot of high holy days on the weekend this year for some reason. But yeah, so keep that in mind for the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, that's going to be the opening and the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles. If you haven't already, as we kept it consistent over the years, every family or household is donates or gives 100 to the feast, as far as the preparation, the trimmings, the food, the hotel reservation, everything like that. And if you can't do 100, just do whatever that you're able. But 100 per household for all the major holy days except for the Passover, which has always been 200. Remember, for our 4 major high holy days, we always do that. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of First Fruits, Feast of Tabernacles, and of course in the wintertime, Feast of Dedication. So I'm going to put all those announcements out there to mark those dates and times on your calendar. All right. So with that, we'll say Shar Chadash once again. Shar Chadash. This means happy new moon. And with that, will do the closing prayers. Shalom Yasharala will be talking to you this upcoming week in the classes and in the next holy days to come.
Oh, beautiful.
Barakateh Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai, Asheranat and now Paria, Gapan Tuwada Aman. La Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai, Ath Yasher Allah. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. Amadwa, Panyua Yerushalayim, stand and face Jerusalem. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Babakushai, Shemad, Lanawa, Aita, Yam, Aita, Shalak, Ma'ika Allah, Wa'alahayim, Tazwadakian, La, Shemar Ayel, Barak, Rapah, Magan, Wachazayak, Banya, Yasha Allah, Washalak, Lanawa, Rabiam, Kakama, Rabiam, Da'if, Rabiam, Bayanah, Rabiam, Sabalanwa, Rabiam, Amawan, Rabiam, Aqua, Rabiam, Ahabiam, Rabiam, Haganah, Rochanaya, Wasalak, Kal, Katayamnawa, La Akin, Wa Akiwa, Wayasha'ala, Tamyad, Waiwalam, Ba'ashem, Yahawashai, Thawada, Aman. English translation. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please listen to us now. Right now, send Michael and the righteous powers to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel. And send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins. For the brothers, sisters, and Israel, always and forever, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Four corners prayer. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Barak Nawa, Wayasha Allah, Wabatya Saparium, Shemai, Yasharale, Yahweh, Allah, Yahweh, Yahweh. English translation. Yahweh, name of Yahweh Shai, bless us in Israel in the house of books or the school. And then we said, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, one Lord. So now we're going to do the blessing for the food. Yahweh, Gadawo, Ba'ashem, Adawanya, Yahawasha, Babakusha, Barak, Makal, Yanawa, Shatayawa, Yanawa, Yayan, Yanawa, Lacham, Yanawa, Shakara, Yanawa, Zachar, Shah, Achadash, Ba'ashem, Yahawashai, the water, Amen. That would say happy memorial blowing of trumpets once again. Happy new moon, 7th new moon. Enjoy the feast, Israel. Most High will be talking to you in the upcoming week as we go through the 7th month of the year. Shalom.
Shalom.